Hey friends, Kevin here, and the big question I get all the time is, I want a 12-volt refrigerator running off solar. How much is that going to cost? And you see this in forums all the time, and people get into these overblown systems, and they get into thousands of dollars. I'm going to show you that you can do a decent branded 12-volt fridge and a basic solar system, and you can buy all these parts, and you can bring this in for $600. It can be done for that little bit of money using name brand stuff. You can do this on a minivan. You can do this on a full-size van that you're converting into a camper. It doesn't matter which one you're using for van life. This little system will work. And it's going to be dependable. And that's the most important thing, is dependability. I'm going to give you the tips for what to buy and what not to buy. Let's get to it. The first thing is going to be your solar panels, and let me make this easy for you. Do not buy junk solar panels. Do not go and get these things from Harbor Freight. This is going to be the most important part of your system, and it's not worth saving 20 bucks on a solar panel to have something that's going to fail on you somewhere along the way. So you want to stick with a name brand. There's only a couple out there, and the main one is Renogy. These things are rock solid. Second point, you want a real hard, solid solar panel, 100 watts or so. They make these flexible solar panels. Different companies make them. They've all had trouble out of them. They all have problems with failing pretty quick. The standard panels I've had on my big van for a couple of years. I've never had to do any maintenance. I don't even do anything as far as getting up there and cleaning them off. I just don't. The rain does enough, and they just keep working. So I know you're going to watch other videos, and people are going to get into tweaking these things, and you know, they're up there every 3 days cleaning these things. You just don't have to do all that. If I had to do all that, I wouldn't have done it to begin with. I don't want something I have to twiddle with every day or every other day. I want to put something in, I want it to be reliable, and I want it to work without me having to do anything. And that's what the systems I'm showing you is going to do. So you want a good Renogy solar panel. And I'm going to link all of this stuff down below so you can check out the current prices for these things on Amazon. Now, Renogy makes a kit that comes with the wires and the connectors and everything that you need. And it comes with what's called a solar controller, which is the little brain box that converts everything from those panels down to put that energy into the battery that you're using. We'll talk about the battery in a second. Now, if all you're going to run is a 12-volt fridge, you can get by with one 100-watt solar panel. You're not going to be able to do a lot others. You'll still be able to charge a phone and maybe a tablet, different things off of it. You're not going to be able to do a lot more than that. But all we're trying to do is give you refrigeration 24 hours a day that you don't have to mess with. So keep this stuff simple. And the great thing, if you have a minivan that has luggage racks on top, you have a nice, easy place to mount that solar panel without a lot of work, without having to drill a bunch of holes in your van. The second thing you're going to need is you're going to need to get this main double wire from the outside where the panels are to the inside of your van. So you're only going to have to drill one little hole. You're going to use this to run your wires through so you have a nice, clean installation. And it's not going to be a big deal. If you can't do it, don't have the stuff, you can take it somewhere, go to a body shop. You know, they can in 2 minutes drill the size, perfect size little hole you need. Stick this thing on, nice clean installation. The third thing you're going to need, and this is something this Renogy kits, none of these kits come with, is you need a fuse running between your panel and your solar controller. In case you ever do need to unhook something, in case you ever do have a problem, you ever do need to do maintenance on something, you want to kill the power. Now, everybody makes these little fuses just like you had, I should say little fuses, big fuses, like everybody used to use with car stereos. And you've got all this crap and these long fuses, this long, because you're having to deal with Allen wrenches and all this garbage. Don't do that, because when it comes time that you're going to need to get this thing apart or replace a fuse, here's what's going to happen. You're not going to have a fuse. You're not going to be able to find an auto parts store that has the right fuse to go in the right fuse holder that you have. Or you're not going to be able to find the right tool to get the thing apart. Forget all that. For about the price of doing that, maybe a couple dollars more, you can get a real circuit breaker. No fuses to mess with. Anything malfunctions, it pops just like a circuit breaker in your house. If you need to undo it, you just press the button. You're disconnected. It's simple. Simple is good. Remember, that's what I kind of preach on here. Simple is good with everything with doing your van build. I don't want to mess with these things over and over. I don't want to have hassles later on. So forget the little fuses that everyone's showing you in the videos and get a circuit breaker. And I'm going to link that down below also. The fourth thing is going to be your battery. You're going to need a separate battery. With RVs, this is what they call a house battery. It's separate from your engine battery. And it's a different type of battery, even though size-wise it looks the same. It's a deep cycle battery, or what they refer to as a marine battery. Now the thing with this, if you're doing this inside your van, which is where you're going to have to put the battery, is batteries like this off-gas, which means you're going to have to build a case around it. You're going to have to poke another hole somewhere in order to have these gases be able to vent out. You poke a hole in the floor, poke a hole in the sidewall, just someplace for those gases to escape and not be in the van with you where you're breathing them. Your other option is to go up in price. Instead of the $70 or $80 that you would pay for one of these good marine batteries, is to move on up to what they call an AGM battery. And without getting into a bunch of details, the main thing that you need to know is that you don't have to vent the AGM battery. So that solves your problem. You can have it in there with you. The third kind of battery is a lithium battery. You can't afford a lithium battery if you're going to do this under $600, so forget all the lithium stuff. AGM is going to be what you're going to go with if you don't want to poke holes in your van, or the standard marine deep cycle battery if you don't mind building a little enclosure around it and drilling a hole in your van and having a little exhaust from that battery compartment. So those are your two options. The solar kit that I'm recommending is going to have everything wiring wise you need to get all the way down to your battery. So the only thing you've got to do now in keeping this simple for what we're doing here is then get a 12-volt fridge. Now a 12-volt fridge will have a plug-in to 12-volt. And you can put a socket in there and do all that, or you can just cut the plug off. It's 2 wires and wire it straight to the battery. And that's the way I have mine done in the big van. Now, if you're keeping with this $600 total budget, your two main brands that I would recommend for these is going to be, one is going to be a Dometic, and the second one is going to be a Winter, which is what I have in the big van. You're not going to, with those two brands, however, be able to come in with this $600 budget package. What people seem to be going for right now is this Alpicool brand, and I'm going to link a particular one down below that's not going to use a lot of power. Most of the reviews for the Alpicool stuff have been okay. I would take a chance on that. But I'm going to warn you away. You have a lot of copycat stuff for any product, especially that's sold on Amazon. You have all of these other Chinese brands that get mixed into this stuff. Stay away from anything that's a brand that is not a main name brand, because you're going to have a lot of money in this thing. These companies come and go at will. Right? So you can forget whatever the warranty is. You can forget whatever getting service is if something goes wrong. So while it may be tempting to save $20 or $30 and go with some off-brand, when you're dealing with something that you're spending hundreds and hundreds of dollars on, it's just not worth the risk. So don't buy an off-brand cheaper fridge to save that $20 or $30. Just like with the solar panel, stick with a dependable name brand. Don't run down to Harbor Freight because you can save $20 and get some junky knockoff that's going to fail 6 months later. But all of these parts together are what you would need, and this proves that you can do this for $600. Realistically, it would be nice to have a second battery. You can run 2 batteries off one solar panel. That would be a nice way to do it, but that's going to put you above budget, but that you can always add that second battery later. Another thing you could do is you can add a little system that will allow you, while you're driving down the highway, to charge both your main battery for your vehicle and charge your batteries you're doing for solar at the same time. So your alternator is charging both batteries. That can be done too. By the time you buy all the wires and everything you need, however, that's going to throw you out of this basic budget. And I'm going to do a separate video soon on exactly how to set those systems up for the people that want to do it. But the main thing I want to show you, and the main thing I want to do with this, is show you that this is one option, and you can really have this solar system running a 12-volt fridge 24 hours a day for $600 or maybe slightly less. Now, for people that don't want to mess with solar panels and having to install solar panels and drill the wires and all of that to do that, I'm going to, in another video coming up, I'm going to show you an option to be able to have enough power to run a 12-volt fridge another way. It's going to cost you a bit more than $600. To do this total package is probably going to put you in about the $900 range. But for someone that, again, doesn't want to deal with that installation, doesn't want to have the solar stuff on their van, it is going to be an option. But if you stick with this name brand stuff, you're not going to have any problem. I've had this stuff on my big van for a couple of years. It's made it through the summers. It's made it through the winters. I don't have to touch it. If I have my big van parked while I'm home for a week, it's sitting outside. It gets enough sun, even in the winter time, to recharge the battery and keep that refrigerator running. I just don't have to worry about it. And that's the kind of system that I want with anything that I add to any of these vans, anything I'm doing with an RV, if you want to call my bigger van an RV. I just don't want hassles. If you have particular questions, be sure to put those down in the comment section. I'll read all the comments. I'll answer it the best I can. Like I said, there'll be some follow-up videos to this topic. So if you're not a subscriber and you found this useful to you, you may want to subscribe so you don't miss these other options I'm going to give you and exact installation tips that are going to be coming up soon. And we'll talk soon.